As the leader of the Booner Pack, I lead from the front.
All right, boys. Lock in.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
I'm fired up. I'm fired the fuck up, boys.
It's pumping right now. It's got my juices pumping, boys.
I mean, welcome to
Good job, baby.
The most embarrassing thing just transpired.
And they don't even
People
know.
have no clue what just happened.
Man.
We just did 7 minutes without being live.
Whole intro and everything. We started a topic.
The live chat still goes because everybody's in here before.
And that's why we saw the chat, but no one was commenting on what we were saying. And then I saw there was no people in the top left.
Wow. Yeah,
We didn't press live, and we were live we were going for 7 minutes. We were just podcasting with the boys.
we were basically in practice.
Yeah, we were just talking it up.
We were going through walkthroughs, and we didn't even know we weren't live. That's brutal. But hey, like I said when we weren't live, if you're listening on YouTube, hit the like button. Appreciate that. And if you're listening on podcast platforms, which we do have podcast listeners, which we talked about.
Should we run it back? Jeff, do we have a lot of podcast listeners?
It's like, no,
You think
Booner,
they
you're
listen
supposed to say, leave a 5-star review. Leave a 5-star review, please. We appreciate you all. Yeah, we did 7 minutes. I mean, I feel like a complete idiot. This is tough. But you know what? It's Tuesday.
That's the first time that's ever happened.
First time. I think, first time it's ever happened. But we
In
got
like
a packed show today.
300
We got
episodes.
Lions to get to, of course. We got some Tigers news we're going to get to. I'm fired up about. We have a special guest, Jeremy Reisman, joining. Pride of Detroit. Haven't talked to him in a while, so to be able to catch up with him, chop it up, I cannot wait. Fired up about it. I think this is the second time I've said that. But yeah, we got a packed show now.
Double down.
Yes. Yeah, I can't. Yeah, this is just crazy.
That's so funny.
It is. It really is. We were just diving into flag football in the Olympics.
Yes. Say what you said again.
This is going to be USA basketball all over again, boys. This is going to be like assembling the dream team. Like Patrick Mahomes, behind the back, no look passes, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. That's what this is going to be. You know what I mean? Like that's what this is going to be. All right,
I'm pumped up for this.
They approved. By the way, damn! Shout out Stick. He's in the
Shout out Stick. He said blame fish.
Yeah,
Out Fish.
Man, I missed that bastard. I just texted him like a couple days ago, actually. But yeah, NFL owners have approved the resolution to allow NFL players to participate in flag football in the 2028 Olympics per Tom Pelissero. You know what this means? The Lions.
Yep.
They might be set. You might get a Lions player in there. All right. And that's
maybe multiple players in the Olympics. Maybe. I did see one rule. Can I say something? There's one rule I don't like.
USA. Go on.
You can only have one player per team on a team for representing a country. So the United States can only have one Detroit Lions player. I'm sending Jahmyr Gibbs. Take Jahmyr Gibbs. Go ahead. Let that man. You guys remember him in the Pro Bowl games in the flag football when he was out there, dominated everyone, first of all. Secondly, played defense and had an interception and ran a pick six back. Jahmyr Gibbs has to be on the team. I think he has to be the number 1 overall pick.
I was going to go JMO, but the way
Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah, but I completely agree with you. Just give the ball. It's just one of those things. You just give the ball to Jahmyr Gibbs and just let him work. Like those, all due respect to the rest of the world, I bet they want to compete. I bet they want to have fun. But you ain't fucking with Jahmyr Gibbs.
No, you're not messing with. You're not messing with the whole United States. USA is going to win the gold medal, and it's going to be like they might. I was talking about it with someone today. They might be. There's no more flag football. This isn't fair.
1 year, it's a wrap.
You guys ever seen Zion Williamson's high school highlights?
Yes, that. Oh my god,
be Jahmyr Gibbs.
That one little white kid that's like nudging him,
trying to box him out.
Now, Jeff, you might be interested. I feel like Booner's going to hate this, but I think this is a possibility that's on the board. Jeff, you'll probably like it for the example that I'm going to bring up.
Yeah.
I wonder, do you think that it's going to be taken very seriously by these USA football players, or do you think like the Olympic quarterback will be Hendon Hooker And then
whoa,
I'm using the example of like these guys
Wow.
where it's like these backups where it's like, they could get some extra time, but do you want to throw Jameer Gibbs?
You're talking about like Darnell Mooney participating or something.
no,
Like just guys where it's
let's
like
not
they're on the
disrespect.
cusp. They're they're a good football player, but you don't want to send your prime, like your number one guy, to potentially go tear an ACL in a 7-on-7 football league.
Jeff, I'm gonna cut you off real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think there have been already players over the last 2 years that said they want to compete. I'm pretty sure, like Patrick Mahomes. I think Josh Allen's mentioned. I think there's been like big time. Joe Burrow, ETN said in the chat, says he wants to play. A lot of like the big names said they want to compete. Jahmyr Gibbs today and Amon-Ra St. Brown both posted on their stories that they want to play. So, and from what I'm hearing, it's a tryout. Like you're not just I think you only get 12 players on your team. So like you're going to have probably one of the greatest tryouts in sports history with all of the best NFL players in one spot trying out for the United States team. That's going to be something.
I hope so, man.
How does that work? Do you just
devil advocate here?
Do you pick offensive players that could play defense, or do you maybe throw in like a Pat Surtain in there?
No, if you can have 12. You bring in one, I think Travis Hunter, especially because it's flagged by de facto. You bring him in.
That would be
a really good one.
Smart.
You can bring him in. Yeah, I would say that you try to find guys like you need a true corner, 2 true corners, and then I get like safety. You're not hitting anybody.
No
linebacker, you're not hitting anybody. I think just like a couple corners. The rest is
athletes. Just need athletes.
Yeah, like Jahmyr. Jahmyr played defense in the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, he's an athlete.
It's an athlete.
Absolute athlete.
It's like those guys that join the draft and they're just not even any. There's ATH.
Yeah, that's literally Like Travis Hunter's a great one, honestly. That's trying to
Justin Jefferson, I think, would be one. I would personally.
I can't believe that's actually happening. Flag.
I'm pumped up. I don't know. Can you guys think the second best country? Because I'm trying to think of like NFL play. Because I know there are other countries who have professional flag football teams. But I'm trying to think of
if it could be one of those things too, where it's like, let's say Amon-Ra wants to go play for Germany.
He's for sure playing for Germany.
Nigeria would have a stacked ass team. There's a couple of African countries that'd be loaded with guys.
Who's Germany's quarterback? I looked it up today. NFL players.
No, I'm not saying I'm saying that's an example, but like there's a couple of African countries, bro, that they got some fucking dudes.
Yeah.
Especially, I don't know, because a lot of them too are like.
Coach walks in Australia. I don't know any football players besides what's his name for the Eagles from Australia.
Canada would have some all right guys.
Giovanni Manu.
Gio. Ao Manor.
Hey. Yeah, that's maybe you get some, but the rugby guys, there's no like physicality, so it's like you can't even throw in the rug. I guess they're athletes though, but this is like football, like flag football.
Do you guys remember that one quarterback that is like a professional flag football quarterback? He's supposedly
calls
the best.
himself like Mahomes.
The Mahomes. He says he's better than Mahomes.
Yeah, bring that guy in.
That guy's going to probably be playing in it. I wonder what he's going to do. Oh no, he's. I think he might be an American. Never mind.
Hey, well, Klotz, you open up the can talking about Hendon Hooker playing in the flag football game. Preseason schedule's out.
Oh yeah. This is Hendon Hooker's postseason, honestly. This is what it comes. This is make or break for Hendon Hooker this year in the preseason.
This is his postseason.
It is out. The preseason schedule for the Lions. Now, the Hall of Fame games in there. The Tom Benson Hall of Fame. At the Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium in Canton, Ohio. It's in your backyard.
We're at
good old Canton, Ohio.
State.
It's one of the few proud places in Ohio, I would say. Canton.
Football Hall of Fame, National Football Hall of Fame, Ball Hall of Fame.
They're playing the Chargers.
These guys have something.
The state of Cedar Point's not too far from it either.
Well, they played.
It might be the 50th ranked state in the country.
That's just simply incorrect. You're going to Ohio over New Hampshire, Connecticut, Delaware.
Yes, those are beautiful out over there.
Let me take you down to Hocking Hills, Boone.
Oh, the shoreline.
I love
the shoreline, the East Coast.
Yeah,
give me
for
the
50
East Coast
fucking miles, and you're
give me the lobster.
Absolute
I want the lobster.
City with nothing to do.
That's Ohio.
Well, listen, you got Canton, Ohio for the Hall of Fame game. Then you play the Falcons for your first actual preseason game, and then you play the Dolphins and then the Texans through August. So This is something I've been thinking about today when this preseason thing came out. Because you're looking at it and you're like, oh, preseason Lions, good team. I mean, who really gives a flying shit about this? But let me be real with you. All right. Lions are a very good team. They got a lot of players that are going to participate in this. All right. Most notably, players that were taken decently high in the draft. Hendon Hooker, 3rd round pick. He's going to be playing. Giovanni Manu, 4th round pick. He's going to be playing. Left tackle. Won't allow a sack, by the way. And then you look at other players that are going to be
Broderick Martin,
3rd
round pick.
We're building a gold medal team right here. Broderick Martin. And then who else is who is that? Mekhi Wingo. I think Mekhi.
I like that one. You got me with that one. Okay.
And guess what? And I'm going to name another one because there's so many more. And I actually want to ask you guys, what players are you excited to see? Ahmed Hassanin playing in that preseason.
Come on.
Mm-hmm. You're gonna see AH. Oh, AH squared. That's what you're doing there.
Well, we won't see the squared during preseason.
Good.
Might see Hutch.
See him out there in civilian.
No,
he better not be out there in the fucking preseason game. No way, no how.
The squared means both of them, Jeff. He's not the squared.
Well, I
he's
meant
one
AA
of them.
Squared, like he's the second one. That's on me, I guess. All right, but the second, whatever. You get the point. All right, Ahmed Hassanin. He's the guy that, to me, aside from Hendon Hooker, who I'm excited about. Obviously, you get to see him in the preseason. You get to see how his development's going. I think that's like the big one for me. Ahmed Hassanin, you get to see him play football against NFL tackles. All right. That to me is going to be interesting because he's only been playing for 5 years, but this is going to be it's going to be a lot of run for him. I think there's a chance if he plays well in the preseason and he shows a lot in the training camp that maybe during the season you'll see Ahmed, but it's this preseason they're going to let him go and he's going to be facing inferior competition compared to what they'll be facing in the regular season. So I think one player I'm very excited for, except for some of my narratives, is Ahmed Hassanin to go out there in the preseason and cause some havoc. I'm excited for him.
Oh man. I like the Ahmed Hassanin. Can you guys see me? Because you guys are okay, we're good to go. Jeff, I just want to make this very clear. And I want to start it off with all due respect.
Oh, no.
All due respect. I just personally don't want to hear this Hendon Hooker stuff for the next month and a half until he starts playing in the preseason. And he's going to play good in the preseason. To me, he played good last preseason and they still brought Teddy in. So we're not going to get into the argument. I just don't want to hear that for the next 2 months and just like that be the storyline. Like, how has Hendon Hooker improved? I don't know. Maybe the same amount as he did last year when he played in the preseason, played well, and then they still brought a veteran in because he wasn't ready to go. Just as much as he did last year. They brought a vet in with experience because he wasn't ready.
Okay, we disagree. We can't keep bringing that up.
Yeah, we can't. No, that's what I'm saying. I just don't want to keep like this. It's going to keep coming up.
You know what? We'll ask Jeremy about that. I cannot wait to ask
we
him.
will. But I think it's like across the board. I think. And I'll still think he's wrong, and I'll stay on my boat
Jeremy
here.
Reisman. He literally covered it.
Everyone's not perfect. It's an opinion-based thing. Hendon Hooker can improve, but the jury still stands that they had to bring a veteran quarterback in 5 months ago because they didn't feel he was ready. I don't know what in 5 months going into year 3 at the age of 27 is going to do. I'm not there for it. I am pumped up, though, now on the positive side of things. Let's end up with the negatives. I'm pumped up to see Hendon Hooker. Yes, I can't wait to see how good this guy is in year 27 of his life. I'm pumped up to see a couple dudes.
He had to throw in the year 27.
1 year older than Tyler Shuck, but continue.
That's fine. At least Tyler Shuck's competing for a starting spot. I'm excited, though, to see a couple different people. One, obviously, Ahmed Hassanin. I'm pumped up to see that because this whole edge situation, obviously, that's something that we're trying to figure out, get cleared up to see if he's able to not start, but like get actual rotation snaps right away. Come in and, Jeff, what was our bet? Over under 4.5 or 4? It was 4 if he gets 4 sacks. So I'm excited to see kind of the development of that, how he's been doing in training camp. One guy, and you didn't really bring him up at all. At least I didn't hear you say his name. Isaac Tesla. I'm excited to see him in the preseason. I want to see what he can do because I don't know if you guys remember last preseason, there was the wide receiver battle with Darius Fountain, shout out, and a couple other players, Maurice Alexander. Who was that?
Caden Davis.
Yes. There was a handful of guys that were competing for that wide receiver spot. You just drafted a rookie in the third overall or in the third round. That's a big deal. That, to me, you traded 2 third-round picks to go get him. I trusted Brad Holmes. You guys know that. You guys know I'm all in on Brad Holmes. So I'm excited to see what he does in the preseason. And I think if he dominates in the preseason, we got ourselves a dude. I'm going to tell you that. Like, I'm pumped up. And I hope he plays all 4 games. I don't care. Like, let this guy get his feet wet in all 4 games and have him ready to go week 1. I don't want any, like, hey, week 1, he's still – no. You have 4 preseason games this year. Let that man go out there and rip it. And if you know what, Jeff? If the quarterback's as good as you are saying he is, he should be able to go out there and dominate Isaac Tesla. So I'm pumped up for Isaac, dude. I cannot wait. And he's going to be on the Amon-Ra St. Brown podcast tomorrow. Pumped up for that as well.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how that goes. But Boone, you brought up offensive guy. Hefe brought up a defensive guy. Both first-year players. About a second-year player. Guy who better see the field a lot in this preseason. That's Ennis Rakestraw, fellas. Ennis Rakestraw, and I think Ennis Rakestraw is a player that needs to have a good preseason. I think if he goes out there and struggles, that's a big red flag. Like, hey, really start questioning that Ennis Rakestraw pick. But Ennis Rakestraw is a player that you practically didn't see on the field outside of preseason last year. I think he played like 15 snaps. Very, very minuscule, like regular season play. And this is a guy that you took in the second round. And this is a player that when they drafted him, you said it's going to be Terrion, it's going to be Ennis Rakestraw. Okay, now you acquired Amik Robertson. You've brought in guys like Rock Ya-Sin, DJ Reed, obviously. But when you look at Amik, Terrion Arnold, DJ Reed, those are clearly the top 3 guys. After that, that cornerback 4 spot is up for grabs. Avonte Maddox could get it. Like we said, we brought up names. They brought in a couple undrafted free agents. But there's going to be an injury, whether it's short-term or long-term, hopefully it's short-term, to one of those 3 starters. Maybe they miss a game. Maybe they miss 2 games. Maybe they miss 8 games. But that cornerback 4, especially where the lines are at and the struggles that we've seen with the cornerback position specifically, I think is very important, because what if that edge on the opposite side of Hutch is not what we expect it to be? You better have a better secondary in that cornerback room, which we all expect. But if an injury happens, it better be not elite, but it better be solid. And I think Ennis Rakestraw, when you look at going up against the Chargers, maybe Ladd McConkey might not be out there, but Trey Harris, the Ole Miss wide receiver that just got drafted, will be out there. But the game that I'm really watching Ennis Rakestraw for is that last one. Boone, you'll like this, against the Houston Texans with Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel. Those are 2 rookies, and Ennis is a guy that can play inside or outside, that are probably be playing a lot of snaps. It's going to be the last preseason game. I understand that, but you want to see what these rookies have. And going up against 2 guys like that, if Ennis Rakestraw can hold his own against that, I think cornerback, and you guys would agree, obviously it's physical, a lot of the most difficult physical position to play in the NFL, but it's also mental, like having confidence to carry into the regular season. If you are Ennis Rakestraw, I think that's huge for him. So if he can be a guy that looks good in the preseason, looks the part, carry that confidence in there, that's another Swiss Army knife they can use in that secondary if something pops up. But I do think you need to have a deep secondary with this team in this division, with Justin Jefferson, DJ Moore, all the wide receivers we always talk about. Ennis Rakestraw could potentially have a good role for this team, but he's got to show out. I think it's a disappointment if he doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, he should. You draft him in the second round. So, I mean, and I think he's been working this offseason, but when you take someone in the second round who was projected to be a late first rounder, then he's a pretty good player. And in the preseason, you're facing like second, third, I mean, shit, 4th string guys. I mean, for him, I expect Ennis to like look like he's just better than everyone out there. That's kind of what I expect. Now, I'm not saying the guys get to look like prime in his heyday, but I'm just saying, can you go out there and make some plays? I mean, we got to see Steven Gilmore have a pick.
Exactly.
So it's like, I think Ennis should be out there, breaking up passes, looking sticky in coverage, laying the boom.
Do you guys remember?
I think Ennis is a good one. I think he should play a lot, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know. And if I'm just being honest, yeah, he probably will play a lot.
He hasn't played. I mean, he just hasn't.
Yeah, that's fair. I just like 4 games. This is where it's like a little weird to me that the Lions are playing 4 preseason games. So I don't know if all of these guys, especially at the level of Ennis Rakestraw, which we obviously haven't seen him play, but we know the talent he has. He's a second-round pick for a reason, right? So typically, like you're not going to.
We don't know.
But you know that Dan does, and I can guarantee you, Ennis isn't going to play in all 4 games. I'll guarantee you
No,
that.
not
now.
4, but he should play in 2 or 3 of them.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like 4 preseason games. That's the thing that my point is with all of this. That's a lot of games. Typically, it's only 3. And even like last year, if you remember, they played the first 2, and some of these guys, like even like the second round picks, the Levi O's, Josh Pascal, like play a little. I don't even think Levi played, but Josh Pascal played and say, hey, you just want to see him dominate and move on. Plays in the first 2 games, doesn't play in the third, because now you know, okay, he's going to be an asset for your team. And I think that's how Dan looks at it a little bit into those last 2 games, especially with the 4 games. Those last 2 games, it's if you have a guy that's going to potentially be a rotational piece, probably not going to get a lot of run the third and fourth game, in my opinion. That's going to be more so for the guys, that 70, 80, 90th guys on the roster that are looking to win a spot. So I think like that Hall of Fame game, Ennis Rakestraw, want him to show out. Isaac Tesla, want him to show out. There are specific guys. Broderick Martin would expect him to go out there and show out if he's making any steps forward. Like there are just specific guys to me, Mekhi Wingo. And then once you get to that third, fourth game, I'm hoping a Mekhi Wingo has already shown us in those first two preseason games, hey, he's going to be a part of your rotation. You don't have to worry about putting him in games 3 and 4 and him getting injured, right? Because that's the last thing you want is a guy that, I know he's not a starter, but a fringe rotational guy or a rotational guy going out in week 4 of preseason, and you lose Ennis Rakestraw because you're like, I want to see more. It's like, no, I want to see 2 games, and then if you're good, good to go.
That's fine. Because
that's why the 4 games thing's so weird to me. I don't like it. They should take one away if you're getting the Hall of Fame game.
Yeah, I mean, I get that too. I just think Ennis, like, I think he plays special teams. But unless there's an injury, I don't see him playing that much. Like I just don't.
There's going to be an injury at some point this season.
There will, but I'm saying
so he's going to have to. You're going to need him at some point.
You will. It might.
Like you don't want him to get hurt in the preseason, Jeff, and then you have to roll with, I don't know, like who was what's his name? I'm drawing a blank on what's his name. Not Avante Maddox. He's not even on the team anymore. I'm just saying, like last year when we had to roll with
Jacobs.
Yes, like you don't want to get in that situation. You want to make sure at least Ennis is healthy for when you do need that man. Like that's my point with it all.
It's about balance because you can get hurt
for sure
doing anything. I mean, you can get hurt
in the first 2 games. Yeah.
So it's like you just got to be smart with it. So yeah, I mean, I get that playing like 2
it would just be so dumb if he was already proven like, hey, we know you're a second round talent.
Yeah, if he looks like dominant on a drive or like let's say a couple drives, you're like, you don't need to see more. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I guess it just depends how he's playing. You know, Kindle Vildor, people are putting in there. Is that what you meant?
Hey, this is a great question by Coach Walk. You think Tyreek will play at all?
No.
I think he will play. I think he'll play I think there's going to be a drive or 2 just to get a feel for things, in my opinion.
Maybe the last game, but they don't really play first round picks like that. I think Terran Arnold played like a drive, maybe. But he's not playing like a game or nothing.
I think maybe a half. You made a couple drives and then you're out. That's my opinion.
Like I think Tate Ratledge and Tyreek, I wouldn't bet against. I think they maybe
Miles Frazier will play.
Miles will play.
Frazier will.
Yeah.
Miles will play. Tesla will play. Dan Jackson.
Klotz, I'm surprised you didn't say Dan Jackson.
He was an honorable mention, but I just
he'll
think
play all 4 games.
He will. But I think Ennis Rakestraw, and I agree with you, probably won't play all 4. But I do think like you need to see some life out of Ennis Rakestraw. Like I think if you corner, you don't always want to hear Ennis Rakestraw. Probably not a good thing. But I do think if you see Ennis Rakestraw kind of struggle out there, because he will see the field, there's definitely some concern. So you hope, I think it's more so like you're seeing a little bit of what you can get, because if you don't show out in the preseason, why should you be the 4th guy in the rotation when the Rocky Sin's been in the NFL? Avante Maddox was just part of a Super Bowl winning roster. They got undrafted free agents. Like he still has to prove himself. I do agree with what you're saying, though. Probably not all 4 games, but let's say he's out there for 2 or 3. He better show out.
Yeah, another Georgia Bulldog. Love it. Dominic Lovett. I want to see him return kicks, man. I want to see, because we saw Maurice do it. Yeah. I want to see Dominic Lovett out there. He runs like a 4.4. Let him try and take one back to the house. I don't want to see him, muff punts and mess up and make mistakes. I want to see that dude thrive.
That was so brutal, man.
I don't want to see that. I know Maurice had a couple of those moments. We were rooting for him because he's an explosive guy. Like it's kind of same with Dominic Lovett, man. He's twitchy. So it's a big guy. It's a big preseason for those types of guys, like the late round players. Not necessarily like the guys that are already kind of proven, except for that last game. Maybe you see a little more there. But all right, we got Jeremy joining in about 15 minutes. The Tigers, great news. Tigers fans, you're getting reinforcements.
He's back.
Jake Rogers
The
is
stash.
back. He's back. And also that he's not the only player that's back.
Where's Jake Rogers at in this picture?
Well, I kind of had to zoom in on this one.
Can you scroll down?
Yeah, he's the midget on the bottom there. But Jake Rogers, yeah, listen, crazy at it. He is back. Jake Rogers is back. Also, Parker Meadows is back. So they're getting reinforcements.
419.
Yeah,
I mean, Toledo, baby.
Pretty good reinforcements. Well, Parker Meadows is starting his rehab assignment with the Toledo Mud Hens. Shout out Toledo. Per Evan Petzold. So he's returning. He's inching back. But you get Jake Rogers back, who's been rehabbing, and he already participated. I think he batted like 300. And now he's back with his rehab assignment. Now he's ready to go. He brings some of that defensive juice. He brings some of that leadership. You get the stash back, the energy, the leadership. So I think for the Tigers, this is great news, man. I mean, I know they had a terrible loss yesterday, but they're up right now winning, and they're still record-wise, I think still best team in baseball right now.
Best team in baseball.
You're still, and those are guys that haven't been playing for you that are pretty important pieces, both of them individually. So great news for Tigers fans here.
Yeah, I do think too. The one thing that's very underrated about like Parker is last year. And shout out Nick too, because he put this out. I saw it on Twitter. 54-28 with Parker Meadows last year. 54-28.
Yep.
And you got to remember, they obviously went on that run with that 0.2% to go to the playoffs, go on that run. But before that, under 500, struggling. When Parker Meadows plays baseball, this Tigers team is that much better. And you're already, the crazy part about it, you're already talking about the best team in baseball. Now you're, obviously the Jake Rogers thing, that one's a little bit more so like, hey, is that really – it's going to help out in times, but Dylan Dingler's already been – you have Dylan Dingler playing catcher. So it's all right. Now you have that rotational piece. And Jake Rogers, being the man before this year, caught every single game for Tarek Skubal. Every career game for Tarek Skubal until Dylan Dingler stepped in and Jake Rogers got hurt. So you have that back for Skubal. But – I think like with Parker, boys, I don't know how the rotation's going to end up getting moved around. I think that's been the big question in Detroit right now is obviously he's just going to Toledo, so it's going to be a little bit more time. But when he does come back, and I think it's just positive news that he's there. But when he does come back, it's all right, how does this whole rotation work? And he's obviously going to go out to the outfield. Maybe Kerry Carpenter is the all-time DH now, and you move a couple guys around in the outfield. I don't know. That's, I think, the kind of thing that's up in the air, like TBD, trying to figure that out. So I don't know. This is the fact that you have a guy at that level potentially returning in the next couple of weeks is like baseball should be scared.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think this Tigers team, especially getting those two back, like Parker last year, I mean, he played well in the playoffs. He improved pretty much everything across the board in the playoffs, especially his batting average. So he's someone that you're getting back right now. And to a team that's already playing really well, it doesn't change the fact that the Tigers should still be buyers. I think that's probably the bigger thing because we had this conversation the other day when talking about them and the Dodgers. And, I think even Caleb would agree with this. We talked about it on last Saturday's show as well, but you're the best team in baseball. Power rankings say it's that way, but when it comes push to shove, they're a cheap team like AG's Burner just put in there. They've been frugal, but if there is a year where you have to grow a pair and make these moves to where you have to fork up some cash, this would be the year. I mean, especially the year they came off last year. The little playoff run they had, and everyone's excited and fired up. Now they have the best record in baseball. This is the time to strike and be aggressive. So I'm very excited. It's good you're getting these players back, but there's still some more work to do. Parker and Jake, both very solid players, and they're going to help. Jake Rogers is going to help defensively, but it's time to kind of push your chips in a little bit here. Yeah, for the deadline. So that's still a big question in my opinion, but we'll see. Still a frugal team. Doesn't change the fact.
Yeah, they need to find a way to make a move, but the fact that, to your point, the momentum's going, you were able to still be the best team in baseball without these two guys coming back. Now that you're getting, without a doubt, your best catcher back, who's going to give you runs at the plate too. Like, he's good at bat. You brought up how valuable Parker Meadows is. If you can just add like that final like sprinkle on top,
yeah.
Again, you're never going to be close to the Dodgers as far as paying out to get that talent. But if you can be the team that finds a way to be the thorn in the Dodgers' side, that's what I think. Like, Boone, you bring it up all the time with the Knicks this year. Like, the Knicks, on talent-wise, are nothing compared to the Celtics. Like, the Celtics, the more talented team. And I understand that the Dodgers in the NL. But if you look at the Tigers and think, well, this is who's coming out of the AL, we're the best team in the AL, how do we go about finding a way to beat the Dodgers and just finding those key role players to go out and continue to do that, build on top of what you already have? You don't have to go out and break the bank because the Tigers aren't going to do that already.
The thing is, too, and who put it in the chat here? Ryan N. Like, he said that you honestly could just go get an arm in the bullpen. That's a dog. I was having a conversation with someone today, or maybe it was yesterday, but it came up where it was like, all right, the trade deadline's coming, or at some point coming up. Do you make a move? Like, you don't need to go get anyone to throw into your lineup. You really just need some type of pitching to add to this team because you are having some injuries. But if those guys stay healthy, you're starting pitching, if they're healthy, the best in baseball. But then you look at your bullpen and say, okay, how good is your bullpen? Can you go get a closer? Can you go get someone in your bullpen to make that? Because that might be the last patch. Because, yeah, Jake Rogers is coming up. Dylan Dingler is 100 times better hitter.
Dylan
Dingler's a way better hitter. So it's like you have now the depth at it's already like the question is like, where's Parker going to go? Where's Jake Rogers going to play? Because your lineup right now is so good. So it's like, I don't know if you have to make a move in the trade deadline in any of those positions. It's really comes down to, hey, build that pitching, build your bullpen up and go out and get another one or two maybe pitchers for your bullpen. And then we're off to the races to go win a title. Like, that's, in my opinion, that's what it should be, just based off of that. So I'm kind of juiced up. I think I saw someone in there say get a third baseman. Maybe I read that wrong, but okay.
No, yeah. Yep.
I think in the field and in batting, like you're pretty set.
Dingler's got that dog in him. Dingler's got that dog.
Juice.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of that dog in him. Casey Mize has always struggled with injuries, so it's hard. It's tough to really bank on. I mean, even when relying on him to finish the season. That's.
By the way, Reese Olson only has like a mild issue with his finger. It's his ring finger.
Thank God.
It says it's a mild issue, so it's not. I think they're gonna take a look back at him later this week, and then they're gonna reevaluate. So I think he's gonna be fine as long as the starting pitchers stay healthy. Oh my goodness,
dude, Reese Olson. I was out to dinner last week with Lex, and she looked at the TV and was like, "Who's that dude? He looks 17."
He looks so young.
Yeah, I was like, that is Reese Olson, and he is not 17. He is.
Coach Walk said Javi could play third if he. I don't hate that, to be honest, because then that Parker goes. But Javi's been so good at center field, man.
Yeah,
it's hard.
They had McKinstry there the other night too. So, I mean, even like you're talking about moving McKinstry to DH, like you're saying, once Meadows comes back, and he could always be like a plug and play guy. I mean, they put him at multiple positions throughout the year.
Yeah, Javi's been on a burner. I mean, I have friends reaching out that aren't even Tigers fans that are like, I'm so happy for you, man.
I love Javi now, man.
It's like, wasn't he dead in the water? Yeah, I mean, it looked that way, definitely. I know we still got a lot of baseball left. But yeah, you're already happy with what you've gotten. Let's see. Wheezy says Veerling and Javi are my third baseman. Yeah, we think we already talked about that too.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, we'll see. I think they're good. You're getting back, but
Can we put in the chat if the trade deadline was tomorrow? What position are you trading for to upgrade? I like what Ryan said.
I like what Ryan said.
I think the bullpens is the best. Option.
Get another arm in the bullpen. I think that's probably I think Caleb would probably agree with that too. He's been yelling about that shit. So I think that's a good one. If you want to get a third baseman, go ahead. But you probably need like a closer type of player, like Jomo just put in there. AG's burner, you can trade for Ohtani. Let's see. Lions 57 power right-hander. Yeah. I mean, shit.
Lefty out of the bullpen, yeah.
Are they still where they stand on odds? Are they still fifth or sixth?
Yeah, it's around the same, I think.
Yeah, it hasn't really moved at all. See, I think it's just it's an on-paper thing. It's just like
what's crazy about it though is there's the games that they're not favored, they just go find a way to win. And it's like when they're losing, besides like a game like last night, but when they're even down in the game, they come back and win. Like that Red Sox series, they're losing in multiple games, find a way.
Find a way. That's just how they've been winning, which is like that's again, it's good and bad. It's good. It's great. It's not good. It's great.
Nah.
But when you're talking about winning the World Series, I mean, even making one, you gotta. That switch has to be turned on, and it helps when you have talent.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a lot of talent, you can coast. You can coast a little bit, win the games you got to win, and then you just flip that switch come postseason time and go get it done.
Yeah, but I mean, these games, like having those games against Boston, like those help you flip that switch. Because it doesn't even have to be the Dodgers. Let's say you're the Padres, and the Padres are out, and they're killing teams, and they get in the playoffs, and like now they're starting to get smacked in the face a little bit. And the Tigers, like the fact that they're going through this growing pain a little bit, but still finding a way to win, it does nothing but one, help them learn how to pull away in games farther. But then like two, when these games do get close in the postseason, like when you're going up against Boston again, and these other teams got to go up against the Braves, like they're going to be ready to go.
It's like what Weezy just said, though. Like last year, they were in more battles. Like they're in battles, but it's like they have games more often than not this year where they're putting the beat down on teams.
Yeah.
Like which
because last year they had the pitching last year and they were winning games like 1-0, like 2-1, 3-1, 3-0.
They won they just won against the Rockies. What was that, 11-1 or something?
Yeah, the Rockies are so bad, and in Colorado,
but just still just dominating. Who you need to dominate, they're just dominating.
But this year, it's just everyone, like no one expected the bats to be the bats, and that's why I think the lineup, like with Parker coming back potentially the next few weeks, and even like again Jake Rogers, someone said he's playing tonight. He's in the lineup tonight, but even then, if you look at it. Jake Rogers is batting 222, and Dylan Dingler's batting 292. So you get into a position where it's Dylan Dingler's now that guy at that position. The only thing was with those two guys was Jake Rogers was a better catcher. He was better on defense. Dylan Dingler's been getting good on defense.
Yeah, he's been
throwing
even
guys out.
Since he started this year, game by game.
So it's like now that he's actually good defensively and he's getting that down. It's how often is Jake Rogers? He's still going to play, but he's no longer probably, in my opinion, he wouldn't be like your go-to catcher going forward. But that's like now you have a bench and these guys can hit. They're hitting extremely well. It's crazy to see some of the averages, dude. Like last year, you just never would have seen this. And you have dudes that are just Dylan Dingler 292, Javi 291, Carey 284, McKinstry 284, Glaber 284. Last year it was like 150. 162, 142. It's just like night and day difference.
It is. It really is. I mean, I'm excited. I'm fired up, man. We got Tigers baseball to root for. Obviously, we have Lions stuff coming out. We have the perfect guest to help us break that down. Jeremy Reisman covers the Detroit Lions for Pride of Detroit. Doesn't really need much of introduction. We're going to get into it with him. Preseason, schedule, all the stuff's going on this offseason. But please welcome Jeremy Reisman to the show. How you doing, Jeremy? What's going on, brother?
What's up, fellas? How we doing?
You know what, Jeremy? We're talking Tigers, which is fun. We get to talk about other winning organizations in Detroit, which is, it's something I'm getting used to still. But I want to ask you, before we get to the schedule, before we get to all the other things that are relevant with the Lions, I want to start with what happened today. We got the preseason schedule, which, Jeremy, I've never been more excited about a damn preseason schedule. Like I was so fired up today about it. So I'm looking at this preseason schedule, and me and the fellas talked today about some players that I think could really utilize it. And there's so many. Obviously, Hendon Hooker we talked about. But when you saw it in your mind, thinking about the preseason and how the Lions like to use it as kind of a developmental side of things to help guys that are late round picks or guys that are kind of projects, who's a player in your mind that could gain a lot from the preseason, this upcoming preseason in your mind?
I think, the first name that comes to mind is Hendon Hooker, right?
Yep.
A guy that just like needs reps and reps and reps. It's the only way he's going to get better. And it really seems like the Lions have lined things up for him to be the backup quarterback this year. But if you're a Lions fan, if you're Hendon Hooker, if you're the Detroit Lions, you probably want to make sure he's actually ready in case you need him in an emergency type situation. And we really don't know where he's at. We saw him get better last offseason. By the end of the preseason, he was a lot better than he was at the beginning of the preseason, but I'm not sure he was at a point in which Lions fans were really excited for him to be the primary backup. Obviously, the Lions wanted to have a backup plan in the playoffs when they brought in Teddy Bridgewater, but he's got to be at the top of the list. But there's so many of those like young developmental guys too that like Giovanni Manu is probably really, really high on that list. Broderick Martin is still high on that list. I know every Lions fan kind of has him buried, and I certainly think he's got a long climb to make it to the 53 this year. But how many times have we seen Lions players within this organization, within this regime, break out in year 3? He's only been in the league for 2 years, and we knew it was going to be a long-term project for him too. So I think you have to at least open up the possibility that Broderick Martin could, take full opportunity of this preseason ahead of him. And there's going to be a little bit of an open roster spot at the defensive tackle with Aleem McNeil almost certainly going to start the season on PUP. So I think those are maybe the 3 guys I would pay attention to the most.
Hey, Jeremy, you're the perfect. It's so funny. We have these arguments. You're the perfect person to settle an argument because you are in the building. And we argued today. We've actually not even today. We've been arguing for, the last year. Actually not year. It's a couple months. But when they brought in Teddy, can you please, just in your opinion,
sure,
say your own opinion? Why do you think they brought in Teddy? Was it A, because Hendon is maybe just not there and they don't really are like, he's not developing the way we think he is? Or is it more of an experience thing? What do you think in your mind? Just based on covering them.
I don't know if you can separate the two, right? Like there's a little bit of both. I don't think, and they've said it multiple times now, like they weren't disappointed with where Hendon Hooker was. It's just a matter of he's another guy that's it was always going to take some seasoning before they were ready to actually throw him out there, right? Loses pretty much all of his rookie season. He gets a couple practices in at the end of his rookie season. We knew, the offense that he was running in college was pretty elementary. He kind of pushed back when people said that about him, but kind of a fact is a fact. And so, this is his year 2. This is his year 2.5, whatever you want to call it. And so when they brought in Teddy, it wasn't surprising to me. It wasn't a sign that they're disappointed with where Hendon was at. It was, hey, we're in the playoffs. We can't afford to lose. It would be kind of irresponsible for us to go throw out a guy there who's only been practicing in the league for a year and has gotten almost no reps at all. So I don't know. I think that was just them thinking, hey, we got a chance at a Super Bowl. If we're going to need anybody to help us get there, even if it is for just one series, which it turned out to be, which is what they needed, we'd rather put a veteran out there. And I think that makes total sense to me.
Yeah, we've been going back and forth about this, Jeremy.
No, it makes perfect sense, Jeremy. It makes perfect sense.
It does. Jeremy, what I said, it makes sense that you bring a guy in with experience. I just can't seem to wrap my head around Hendon being the age he is going into the year 3, and they had to bring in 5 months ago, a quarterback to. There's something about it to me where it irks me a little bit, to where it's
sure.
Let's maybe look at another backup quarterback, because Hendon, you're going into year 3. Maybe he's not the guy we thought. But like you said, preseason, I guess we will find out. But I'll change the topic because this is going to keep us going all night. Can I ask you about Alex Anzalone? Because I think this is an interesting topic. And there are a lot of times where kind of rumors kind of just start to swirl, and maybe there's stuff that doesn't mean anything. But the Angel stuff is interesting to me. I don't know if you noticed as well, but he had put a couple of those tweets out, and I went back and couldn't find the Trey Hendrickson tweet. So I think he took some tweets down as well. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but it seemed like he took some down, and there's obviously been something going on with him in the contract situation. Do you think this is something that will kind of bleed into training camp, or even over the next couple months, just based off of maybe the Lions? This is one of those guys that is lower on their kind of totem pole, to say, compared to other guys like Aiden Hutchinson and Jack Campbell next year and stuff. What do you see coming out of this whole situation with Anza?
Yeah, it is pretty interesting, right? Because he was tweeting a lot of things about guys getting paid. I think kind of all offseason he's been retweeting things about, stats out there that have shown how valuable he is to the team.
Highlights, everything.
Yeah. And I don't recall him ever doing stuff like that where he's kind of like tooting his own horn and things like that. It doesn't kind of seem like the player he is or the person he is necessarily. So I definitely think there is a want, especially like now that you see these linebackers getting paid, right? He's never been a product of that. He's been around the league for 10 years when the linebacker position has been undervalued. And now he finds himself on a team where he is valued and he is, a centerpiece of what they do. We've heard Lions coaches refer to him as kind of like that core of players that mean so much to how they've gotten to where they are and continuing to rise. And so, I think a lot of people have noticed he's not in like the photo galleries of the offseason program. That to me is not a sign necessarily that he's upset. If I'm not mistaken, he usually trains on his own, and he's a guy that definitely values family time. So like if you check his Instagram, he's like hanging out with his kids. I think his mom is coaching one of the kids' soccer team. Like he's a family man. He's a guy who I think can properly compartmentalize work and family, which is not something that a lot of football players can do. And so I don't think there's necessarily like bad blood or anger or anything like that. I think he's just like, hey, I want to get paid. And when I need to come in and practice with the team, I'll come in for mandatory minicamp. I'll come in for training camp and get that done. But we know the Lions are all about transparency. So I don't think they're going to be bothered by Alex Anzalone kind of like largely hinting that he wants to get paid. And honestly, it wouldn't surprise me for the Lions to do it. I know everyone thinks they're in penny pinching mode, and in a lot of ways they are. And you'd think maybe they'd prioritize their young players, the guys that are coming off rookie contracts and things like that. But I think there's also going to be a place for a guy like Alex Anzalone because I think Dan Campbell has a tremendous amount of respect for him. I think they know the value that he brings to the team. And quite frankly, I'm not sure what the plan is if once you're without Alex Anzalone. You have two linebackers that I think you can rely on for the long term in Jack Campbell and Derek Barnes. But who's three? Because Malcolm Rodriguez's contract is also up next year. So I think it would make sense to lock up Alex Anzalone for another year or two at least. Give him the pay raise that he probably already deserves. Although, when you're paying someone, you're supposed to be paying for, the seasons ahead, not for time served necessarily. But, one of our writers, Al Karsten, wrote a really good article today, just listing like a large amount of linebackers in their mid to early 30s, still playing at a really high level. And Alex Anzalone is playing the best football he has in his career right now. So I think the Lions are going to think he's worth it.
I don't want to put you on the spot here real quick, Jeremy, but do you have an idea of maybe what his contract would look like if they were, because we've thrown around numbers here on the show, 10, 12 million, but you do see some of these higher end linebackers getting more than that. And you just saw Derek get 8 or 7 or 8. What is there a number that you have in mind that he might get?
Honestly, I think you guys nailed it. I think like the 10 to 12 range makes a lot of sense given his age, given, it's probably going to be a relatively short-term deal. I think maybe you just make a lot of that guaranteed, like a 2-year, $22 million with like 17, 18 million guaranteed. I think that's totally fair. It doesn't bog you down completely. You can play some cap gymnastics and spread that out a little bit over time with some void years and things like that. So I think the Lions can make it work for them. It's going to tighten the belt a little bit, but you see how much cap room they have right now, and there's a reason why they're not using it, right? They're going to try to carry over as much as possible. Hopefully they don't have to use as much as they had to last year with injuries and things like that. But I do think they're going to make way for the budget for Alex Anzalone just for how much they respect the guy.
Love that.
That's music to my ears, Jeremy. Because Anzalone has went out there and proven it. And kind of going back to the preseason talk, somebody that wasn't able to prove it last year, and it's going to be difficult for him to prove in the regular season this year. That's why I think preseason so it's important for him, is Ennis Rakestraw. What do you expect out of Ennis Rakestraw during preseason and kind of bleeding into the regular season? Because he's somebody where second-round pick, missed all last year due to injury, and then now you add DJ Reed. Amik Robertson really showed what he can do. Terran Arnold's there, Rocky Sin. It's a packed cornerback room depth-wise. Where does Ennis kind of carve himself a role, do you think?
It's a good question because last week before all the press conferences with the coaches, I probably would have told you, well, he's going to be he's going to compete for a starting job at nickel. That seemed to be the easiest path for him to get on the field, and probably the best place for him to provide some depth, even if Amik wins out the job there, because you're like, okay, if Amik goes down, what's the plan at backup nickel? Is it Avonte Maddox? Is it Ennis Rakestraw? Because we know if there's an injury on the outside cornerback position, we know Meek can step in there and be okay. Yeah. But Deshae Townsend said pretty clearly, like, they're focusing on the outside cornerback position for Ennis, which means the only way he's going to make it onto the field really this year seems like it's going to be if there's an injury, which no one is asking for. And it's interesting though. Like, I still think the long-term goal for him should be at nickel, right? Because Meek is not signed long-term. Maybe Meek gets a second contract here. Maybe he doesn't. I just find it interesting. Maybe it's just a thing where they want him to be the next Amik Robertson, kind of like how I think they're treating Tate Ratledge. Like, they want Tate Ratledge to be the next Graham Glasgow, where he can play guard, but he can also slide over to center if they need him. Maybe the plan here is, hey, and this is eventually going to be the starting nickel, but we want him to learn that outside cornerback position as well as possible so that he has the same versatility that Amik does. That's the only way that it makes sense to me, because otherwise you spend a second round pick on a third stringer on your CB3, which, I mean, I get you kind of have to lower your standard for second round picks when this roster is so good, but I just think you're underutilizing him if he's going to be your backup outside cornerback. I think he has the potential to be a starting nickel.
Yeah, Jeremy, I got a love-hate relationship with the offseason. Obviously, it's when all this, like, the conversations that are irrelevant start happening, and you have so much more experience dealing with this than I do. So I'm still, like, adapting to it all. And it's nationally really more so because, I mean, I'm seeing Bleacher Report throw out 9-8. You know, it's baffling to me that a team that won 15 games, all the injuries, can go to 9-8, but I digress. I'll ask you, the schedule's out. When you look at it, I think we all had around the same win total. I think I had 12, Boone had 13, Lukas had 11. So we're kind of in that double-digit win range. But then you see NFL.com say they're the most vulnerable to lose the division. When you look at that schedule, what was kind of – I know. When you look at that schedule, what did you think initially, and then just kind of throughout the schedule, maybe the difficulty of it and how many games and all that stuff, division winning?
Well, first, I want to warn you, it's only going to get worse in the offseason.
Oh, thank you.
Like, once you know, all the analysts are making their official season predictions, and everyone, you know, the guys that want to be different are all picking the Bears to win the division. Just like, I'm trying to mentally prepare you for that, because that's what's going to happen. I can guarantee you. But yeah, I mean, all the obvious stuff are the ones that stuck out. You know, the fact that they have, you know, probably the toughest road schedule in football. They have, you know, 5 primetime games. 12 of the 16 that we know of right now are all nationally televised. Week 18 could very well make it 13 once, you know, we just figure out where that's at. But yeah, I mean, the Lions have been taking it to, like, the best teams in the NFL over the past couple of years. They've gone toe to toe with the league's best. And so, they're going to lose a couple of those games for sure, but they're probably going to win more than they lose, even against, like, the best teams, because they've taken down Kansas City. They've taken down the entire division last year, and maybe it got better, but it probably didn't get that significantly better. And we've seen them, you know, hang tough with other teams on the road. We've seen them playing prime time on the road. They went undefeated on the road last year. And so, it's tough, but everyone has the Lions on their schedules looking at that game and like, oop, that's probably a loss. So, they're daunting games in which I probably wouldn't pick them to win right now. Like, at Baltimore is probably the toughest one, I would say, on the schedule, because Lamar just beats up on NFC teams, and the Lions have literally never won in Baltimore, unless maybe you're talking about the Baltimore Colts. Maybe they won a game there. But other than that, like, it's just, I understand it looks difficult. I have them at 12 wins right now too, but I don't feel like it's going to go, -2 of that prediction. I still think the ceiling of this team is a 10-win team, and that's probably enough to at least make the playoffs, which is really the ultimate goal of the regular season now. Like, I know Dan Campbell say, hey, we want to win the division. Hey, we want to get that 1 seed, but last year was proof enough that 1 seed doesn't guarantee you anything. Just kind of getting into the dance is really the most important part.
Yeah, Jeremy, I want one big thing, and I think everyone can kind of agree with this. The changing of the coordinators, and you were in the building the last week or so. John Morton and Kelvin Shepard spoke with the media. What are your initial thoughts? Obviously, you guys spoke with them months back when they got the job, and at the draft and in the league meetings. But now being in the building, them working with players, what's the vibe you get from them? Are you kind of confident? The biggest one to me, to be honest, is the John Morton one, just because of the job he's taken over with the offense. Is your confidence kind of growing a little bit, or where are you at with John Morton taking over that offense?
I mean, a little bit. Really, the biggest and kind of only question for me with John Morton is play calling, and I just you're not going to know what that looks like until you see it, because he knows the offense, he knows the terminology. He was here 3 years ago. He has a comfort level with Jared Goff already. He worked with him kind of extensively in 2022, and so that relationship is fine. His attention to detail, I think, is just on the same level as Ben Johnson. We heard several stories about him in terms of just like the obsessive preparation that he does from Monday to Saturday in terms of, positional football and tendencies and things like that. And so I have no doubt that Monday through Saturday, he's going to be as good of an offensive coordinator as they need at that position. And, he continues to reiterate, like, I'm just going to run what's been working. Like, there's no reason for me to come here and overhaul everything. I'm going to add a little bit, but I'm not really going to chip away at what was working. And so the question is just, one thing that was Ben Johnson was really good at was kind of the progression of how he called plays, how, something he called in the first quarter would lead up to something in the third quarter that looked the same, but kind of, pulled the rug out from underneath the defense. Is that something that John Morton is capable of doing? John even admitted last week, which I thought was kind of like a really transparent, and I love the transparency, but maybe I wouldn't say made him look bad, but he was just like, yeah, the whole fourth down thing is something I'm going to have to adjust to. It's not really what I've done in the past. But I understand that's how we run things here in Detroit, and I'll do everything I can to adapt to that. But yeah, that is something that I have to learn. And that means, calling potentially different kind of plays on third down, maybe calling different plays on second down. And then obviously, kind of building out your fourth and short playbook as big as it could possibly get, because they're going to go for it a lot of times. So, I think some people outside of Detroit are exaggerating how, different and how bad it could get without Ben Johnson. But I think there are some fair questions, because there are a lot of, things we don't know at this point. And I think chief among them is just, again, how he manages the game on game day.
Do you think, go ahead, sorry, Klotz, I just want to follow up on that. Do you think that, because the conversation, Jeremy, is a lot of the times Dan Campbell maybe didn't have as much to do with the Ben Johnson. Do you think Dan has a lot to do with it, actually, all of those situational things? I feel like he does, and we get in conversations with people who watch, or maybe people on Twitter, and it's just like, it feels like some people underestimate how much of a hand Dan Campbell really had in this offense.
Yeah, I mean, I think the entire overall philosophy of the offense and really the entire team is based on Dan Campbell. The aggression is based on Dan Campbell. The adherence to the run game, the making sure you're building out the offensive line and you're this tough, gritty team. All of that comes from Dan Campbell. And we even heard Dave Phipp go on a rant last week saying, like, y'all are still underestimating how smart this guy is. You guys still don't understand that this guy is a brilliant football mind. And he is. It's just, but he's also a delegator, right? And so when it comes to calling specific plays, I would say he's mostly hands off. He'll if it's 4th and 1, he'll be like, yeah, we're going for it. Probably if it's 3rd and 5, he's like, hey, if you get at least 3 yards, we're going for it. Like, he's going to tell that to John Morton ahead of time. But he's going to let John Morton pick his plays for the most part. There might be a situation in which he's really confident in a play in this situation and take the wheel. I'm certain he's done that before, even when Ben Johnson was here. But I think one of his best qualities is his ability to delegate and trust the people that he hires too. So I would say, like, macro, yes, this is very much Dan Campbell's offense. But when it comes to like the nitty gritty, the calling the plays and that sort of stuff, I think he's primarily hands off, but will kind of like stick his hand on the driver's wheel every now and then.
And kind of keeping going with the offensive conversation, specifically with John Morton, Jeremy, when he was talking, he also talked about a breakout potentially of Jameson Williams. And Scotty Montgomery kind of said the same thing. And when I hear that, again, this is my opinion, I don't think Jameson Williams can really do too much more statistically. Like, I think having 1,000 yards, the touchdown numbers that he did, I think he broke out last year. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised if his numbers dipped a little bit, just because I think Sam Laporta, yards wise, could have a little bit of a better season. I mean, he had a down season. He had like 700 yards, 7 touchdowns. Like, either way, any tight end would wish to have that season. What do you think a Jameson Williams breakout, like John Morton and Scotty Montgomery have talked about, looks like for Detroit Lions fans and for the rest of the team?
Yeah, it's really interesting because I'm kind of with you. Like, is there even enough ball to go around for him to get more than 1,000, maybe 1,200 yards or so? And it's hard to know. It's hard to know when we don't know what John Morton's tendencies are. It's hard to know when we don't, we haven't seen what apparently John Morton and Scotty Montgomery have seen. But I think in general, like on a down to down basis, you're just going to see him be more consistent. That's what it sounds like they're preaching here, is that I think the thing that struck me most that both of them said was just like, he is fantastic in meetings. And as someone who watched Jameson Williams progress from, rehab from his injury to kind of a bumpy second season to everything he accomplished last year, I think the part that he struggled in with the game the most was mentally. It was just being in the right spot. It was getting to the right part on the field. It's taking the right amount of steps. It's all those attention to details that Ben Johnson was so harsh on. And that, I mean, you would see it all the time. Like every third game or so, there would just be a pass from Jared Goff to Jameson Williams, and they weren't on the same page. It would be, 10 yards away from where Jameson was. And, generally speaking, I would probably put that on Jameson more times than I would put it on Jared. I'm sure he shares some of the blame in some of those situations as well. I think I think it was the Minnesota game, the season finale. Through the lines were deep in their own zone, throws like a bomb to JMO, and it's just like, it's nowhere near him, and he's not even, his head isn't turned. And so like those little blips, like they showed up a lot in 2023, far less in 2024. Now it sounds like everything is clicking with him, right? That's kind of the sense that I got, is that, it's never been about him not putting in the work. He's always been a guy that gives it his all in practice. You can see he wears his emotions on his sleeve in practice because he cares so much. Everyone I've ever really talked to has said the guy's work ethic is there. It was just, and this is me speaking, it didn't seem to be clicking necessarily every single specific thing that he needed to do on offense. And so now he's asking the right questions. He shows a deep understanding of the offense. And what does that look like on game day? I don't know. Does it look like 1,400 yards and 10 touchdowns? Maybe it could. I'm not ruling it out.
He's got the talent.
He does. And maybe it just means instead of having, an 100-yard game and then a 20-yard gain and then a 200-yard game and then a 5-yard gain, maybe it just means like a bunch of 50-yard games, a bunch of 60-yard games. Like it's just more consistent basis. And, when you look at the stat sheet at the end of the season, it might not look all that different, but I think you might see him just be more consistent down to down, game to game, week to week. And that'll be noticeable for sure.
Yep. Well, we appreciate you, Jeremy, taking time in your day to join the boys. Keep up the great work. We're all fans of yours. We'll talk to you soon, my friend.
Sounds good, fellas.
There you go.
Appreciate it, Jeremy.
Jeremy Reisman, proud of Detroit, joining the program, talking to the fellas. Detroit Lions off season. Does great work, man. Proud of Detroit. Go check him out. Give him a follow. Detroit at Detroit on Lion. We still got more to get to, fellas. We got the D line to get to. Booner had a tweet today. I saw got some comments on it. People were, hey, you got some feedback on that tweet, Boone?
A little bit.
Here he goes. Well, I'll pull up the tweet. You break it down for me, Boone. Kind of what was going on when you sent this one, Boone.
Yeah, there were some people. There's a lot of people who liked it. To be honest, a lot of people who hated it. And you know what? That's what you get, right?
You did say, though, to be fair, I might be on an island with this one.
Yeah, listen, when I thought of this and I was thinking about it, we had a conversation a couple of days ago about the D-line. And sometimes you guys can see if my brain's working, I zone out a little bit. And that's the people in my brain cranking something, just like, and my brain's thinking. And I'm like, I think people are underestimating a little bit what this Detroit Lions defensive line is all about. And again, this is just like, hey, with all due respect, but hey, I might be on an island. I might be on an island. I don't care if you agree or disagree with me if I'm being honest. That's what I'm saying there. I just genuinely think, boys, as you think about it, and if you actually look at this Detroit Lions D-line, I think the fact that they have not gotten that bookend edge yet, like the Zadarius Smith, Matthew Judon, trade for a different or draft a player in the first round. I think that right there alone is covering up and putting a dark cloud over the defensive line as a whole. Because when I took that away and I was thinking about it the other night, I can't remember the conversation we were having. It really made me think and break down the defensive line room from top to bottom. And Jeff, I think I made a comment to you at one point over the last 48 hours. I said, I think this might be one of the better D-line rooms in the NFL. And if you add Zadarius Smith in there, that is a guaranteed top 3 D-line in the NFL from top to bottom. I'm not talking just your top 4. I'm talking from 1 to how many guys are on that list? 6, 9, 12, 15, from 1 to 15. Because I left guys off this list. I left a handful of guys like Isaac Ukwu.
And more.
Yeah, and more. Like there are more. There's 4 or 5 more guys that I could have put on this list that I left off. I'm not going to ever put Broderick on there, but Miles Adams, Nate Lynn, who is on the team still, Mitchell Agude, Isaac Ukwu, guys who they're expecting to potentially give them a little bit. I don't even put those guys on the list.
I think it's fair.
Yeah, but I just think even if the list that I put on there, I don't think people realize this enough. Let's just take, say, a world where all of these guys, and obviously knock on wood, you never know what's going to happen. And some of the past tells you that some of these guys won't be healthy. But if this group right here, boys, is healthy all season, which again won't happen, you have Aiden Hutchinson, Ali McNeil, Tyleik Williams, DJ Reader, a healthy Marcus Davenport. I think one thing, and I saw this in the comments a lot, that people underestimate, and I think people have a hard time wrapping their head around it, the Levi O and Josh Pascal conversation, because last year, and this is where people have a hard time of actually using their brain and getting a little bit more dialogue and kind of taking that next step in their brain in life. Josh Pascal and Levi O were starting for you last year. They were starting for you. Those aren't starting caliber players. As role players, those are very good role players. And if they are in your, if that's your backups all season long and they're rotating in and they're getting minimal snaps, that's very good. That in your 2024 season, your starters in 2025 are now your rotational guys and they're no longer your starters. And then you add on AQM, who in 9 games had 3 sacks. Ahmed Hassanin, who had 22 plus sacks in 2 years at Boise State, his last 2 years. Mekhi Wingo, when he gets, he's going to make an improvement, and we know what he can do. Roy Lopez, who, yes, not the great pass rusher, but will dominate in the run game. I don't know how you look at this from top to bottom and go, it's a terrible defensive line room. That's not a good defensive line room.
No, you can't tell. You can't say it's terrible.
This might be one of the more underrated D-line rooms if they're healthy. And you can be one of those simple-minded people in the Lions fan base and sit there and just go, I'm just going to hate on these guys to hate on them until we get Zadarius Smith or till we get another edge rusher because I can't think for myself and take that next step. Look at this yourself. This is a D-line room from top to bottom, boys. Like, this is a good one. And if you add Zadarius to it, you're automatically a top 3 D-line in the NFL. This D-line right now, you could argue 7 to 10, maybe even a little bit better if you want, if these guys stay healthy. But this is a good D-line room. This isn't people want to say in the chat, average, mid. You're wrong. You're just saying that because you're upset about last year. That's all the reason you're saying about it. That's it. But if you actually take a step back and get over yourself and get over that fact, you'll see, hey, this is actually a legit room, boys. This is a legit room. And obviously that one edge rusher, yeah, that's it. But if you take that kind of point away, this is a nice room you have here.
I think, because I don't think it's a bad room. I think it's actually a very deep room when it comes to how many guys that can be contributors. But when you look at let's break it down. Interior, Tyleik, Aleem, DJ, Levi, Josh, I'd put maybe a tweener, but that interior is really good. Like I think with a Tyleik,
the interior is not really good. The interior, if they're healthy, is elite.
I think they got some guys on the interior that are it's good. And
Elite.
then you have Aiden, who's Aiden. All right. And the I would think my caveat to this, Boone, is I would be more on board, and you already said it, so we agree. If you added in Zadarius Smith, because if you add in Zadarius Smith, then that pushes Davenport to a role player, or at least he'll play in spots, which that makes your D-line better because he's a, I guess, when healthy, capable starter. But if he's in that role, now you have more depth, which makes it even better on paper. I think the interior, you have every bit to argue, and Aiden obviously, but the only thing I would say is there's so many tweeners. The only true really edges you got are Ahmed, Davenport, AQM. And that's probably it, besides Hutch. So I think that edge spot is probably still the question mark, even though I like AQM, I like Ahmed. Davenport, when healthy, is not bad. But it's really, that's the question to me to really put this thing together. If you add an edge, then I think it's the cherry on top of what you're arguing. So I would agree with it. I would agree with it more.
Yeah,
but that interior looks good on paper. I'm not going to argue that.
The interior, I would say,
Mackay, throw him in there.
Eagles, Giants, and then the Rams. They have a top 4 to 5 interior. Like Boone's right. Like they have an elite defensive line group. Yeah, they don't have a Dexter Lawrence, Jalen Carter, but the talent that they do have, like they've been so elite at stopping the run for so long, and you can see the glimpse of Ali McNeil, and then hopefully we're going to see the glimpse of Tyreek Williams. If those kind of can come together, you have a top 3 interior room. Aiden Hutchinson, top 3 defensive player in the NFL, I'd say will be this year, if not top 1. So he's weighing it down. I say without Zadarius Smith, they're like a top 15 defensive line room. If you add Zadarius Smith, I think they go into like that top 7. I don't think they're top 5. I still think there's some elite.
They're top 10 in my opinion.
They're without a doubt top 10, because if you truly start going down and you're adding in backups, like I think the clear top 5, however you want to order these teams, Giants, Eagles, Rams, Steelers, Texans. I think those are the best defensive lines. I think the Lions, Aiden Hutchinson's probably the best player out of all the teams that we just named on those teams. But at the end of the day, when you look at that other edge spot, it is important. But the Lions after that, I mean, are you going to argue the Ravens? Because again, like if you want to go like player by player, the Ravens are usually the better defensive line. But if you're going on paper depth wise, I think the Lions and Ravens are close. Chiefs, possibly. The Raiders, I think, are close when you look at Christian Wilkins and Max Crosby, but that's when you're looking at these next kind of defensive line. The Lions are right there, but it all comes down to, okay, you have a great defensive line on paper. It's deep. Can you get to the quarterback? And that's what they got to do this year. With Aiden Hutchinson being healthy, they're obviously going to do it more, but what about when Aiden Hutchinson's getting triple teamed and there's a mobile quarterback? That's where the Zadarius Smith thing really takes it over the hill, because even when we were talking about the draft or when we were talking about the situation during the draft, and we waited all the way to the 6th round and Hassanin was taken, we still were all saying, well, this means Zadarius Smith is probably coming back if you're waiting this long. And if it's not, there's an issue. And that's where that issue comes up when you're talking about top 7 or top 15. Because when you're going up against Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, all these quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson, there's a huge difference there from being a top 15 to top 7 defensive line group.
Yeah, the thing to me is, and this is where I kind of wrapped my head around it and realized it. And I was like, okay, maybe taking a step back and being realistic. But Jeff, pull that list up one more time, please.
Yep.
I just want to show the people something. How many players are on that list right now? Take away the and more. Can someone tell me?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Without reading those players, I want you boys to look away from that list real quick for me. I'm going to give you guys a countdown of 3 seconds. Name to me how many of those 11 players played last year. 3, 2, 1. Throw it out there.
I don't know.
That played last year?
I said
7 and 10?
Yeah.
Wrong. 7 of the 11 weren't playing snaps last season. Aiden Hutchinson, Ali McNeil, Tyreek Williams, Marcus Davenport, Ahmed Hassanin, Mackay Wingo, and Roy Lopez. 7 of those 11 players did not play on that defensive line majority of the season last year. 7. So if people want to come to me and say, oh, Booner, you're an idiot, you're a slap, you're drinking the Kool-Aid. Out of your top 11 defensive linemen going into 2025, 7 of them did not play last year, majority of the season. 7 of the 11 boys. That's a significant number. Significant. And you brought pieces in. You didn't bring bums in. You brought Tyreek in, Ahmed Hassanin. And the guys, those 4 guys that did play for you last year, DJ Reader, career year. Josh Pascal, probably his best season of his career. I don't care if people think he's still not good. Probably the best season of his career. Same thing with Levi Onwuzurike, and the same thing with AQM, who had 3 sacks in 9 games. Those 4 guys. So to me, it's like, hey, we want to sit here and just keep complaining about the opposite edge. Like, yeah, Za'Darius, hopefully I'm on board. Jeff, I text you today. I said, as soon as they get Za'Darius, that's a top 3 D-line in the NFL. But if you take that away, they have 7 guys that were injured or they brought in to come in and compete and play at a high level. These aren't guys that are just bench play. These are legit dudes that are going to be now healthy, or they brought in off the draft or free agency. So it's a significant upgrade from last year. And if you want to look at last year, the Eagles had 41 sacks last year, boys. And yes, pressure, all that's different. 41 sacks to the Detroit Lions 37. And again, that's with 7 of the 11 of these guys not on the roster. So that's where I'm trying to wrap around. Some people said to be like, hey, instead of kind of coming at me a little bit, hey, maybe be a little realistic and realize, hey, maybe this D-line isn't as bad as we thought. Are we going to keep having that cloud over us about that other edge rusher? And yeah, I'm with everyone. I want to see it before I can actually believe it. I want to see Marcus Davenport stay healthy. I want to see what Tyreek can do. Yes, Jeff, you're smiling. I want to see Ahmed. I want to see Levi and Josh back out there and Mekhi make that jump. But when you look at it here, man, this is a good list, boys. Like, this might be a I think just people are underestimating what that group can do. I really do.
What about this? JT Olson, how about he actually said, how about this? Every contender in the NFC has a better D-line group. Eagles, Rams, Bucks all clear this group easily.
I think the Bucks for a while did. I don't think the Bucks do. I'll give you the Eagles and the Rams. But again, you got to compare and contrast it. Like, okay, do the Bucks have the safety room? No. I love Antoine Winfield. Think he's a very good safety. Doesn't have that. Corners are bad. Linebackers, Levante David's been a very good Hall of Fame type of career. But KJ Britt didn't take the step that everybody's expecting. Like, sure, like the Buccaneers have a very good defensive line group. The Rams have a very good defensive line, but all these defenses have the weaknesses. And I think when you look back, like, okay, outside of Vita Vea and Kalijah Kancey, who is truly scaring you on that Buccaneers defense? Like, yeah, Diaby is very good. They got some good edge rushers
Vita
over there.
Vea.
Nobody's striking the
Vita
fear in you like Aiden Hutchinson.
Aiden's the best player on any of those defenses. I would say Jalen Carter and Aiden would be the 2. And I love Jared Verse, Braden Fisk, but Hutch is the best defensive player out of all those teams. So you have Hutch. So that already gives you an advantage. And then you get to like guys like Aleem. Again, Aleem's got to get back from the injury, but still, when he's healthy, we know what Aleem is. He's very good. Tyreek, I think you're projecting, but still, I really like Tyreek. And then DJ Reed, like, you still have a collection group. I would still, if you want to say Rams, Eagles, fine. I don't know what other team you could say besides them. I mean, I don't think the Bucks are gonna. I think we can go after. We cover the Lions. JT covers the Bucks. We can battle about that. But realistic, in just my opinion, unbiased, I would give the edge to the Lions. Big part because of obviously Hutch, but collect, especially the Za'Darius thing. I think he would obviously boost them a lot. But yeah, I think the Lions, it is. There's a lot of depth there, but still some question marks that I think you'll find out more this season. But yeah, I get what you're trying to say, Boone. I get it.
I do think a big thing too, I don't want to just keep being repetitive, but there's one thing to me that I kind of realized over the last month is a lot of people are like, hey, you need the edge. Like, and everyone brings up the Eagles to me. What was the Eagles' strength, boys?
As far as their defensive line?
What was their strength? Yeah. Interior defensive line.
Interior, yep.
And what did Brad Holmes focus on this offseason? Interior defensive line.
Solidifying it, yeah.
He got Tyreek Williams and he got Roy Lopez. And I know Roy Lopez isn't like
he's just
a big body, though.
But it's a body to where if you need him, he's going to go in there and compete. And if that's your 4th guy, and potentially with guys like it's not even going to be your 4th guy because you got Levi O in the middle there still. And potentially if you want to move Josh Pascal, Pat O'Connor,
no.
And that's where I think some people are just so focused on like, hey, edge. Someone tweeted at me today, and I saw Easy actually tweet this a couple weeks ago. But if you look at some of the film on the defensive line when it comes to Aiden Hutchinson on the field, they have Aiden Hutchinson lined up so far outside, and they have 3 basically big body defensive linemen on the other side trying to force them to make double teams and let Hutch go one-on-one. And it's like, that's their mindset. That's who they are. That's what their defense is. And that's the type of player you have. And yes, you would like another edge. But when that's kind of your bread and butter, and you just upgraded those other 3 guys on the field outside of Hutch, I mean, what are we complaining about? Do you see what I'm saying? So that's where I understand it. I understand that people want it. I think this offseason was just a story and like kind of all wrapped around. And I think it got really wrapped up in that edge position. And I think it got clouded over everything else. It's been the offseason of the edge. I'm starting to side a little bit more with Brad.
The offseason of the edge.
Yeah.
Well, you got this tweet. What's this tweet, Boone? What
Have you seen this yet, Jeff?
No, I haven't.
I just saw you posted this, Boone. Shout out to you. Good post.
Yeah, this is big and I'm going to shout out to Easy actually sent this to me. I was talking with Easy about this. I didn't know this. This came out May 17th. So this came out over the weekend. Los Angeles Chargers on SI. Shout out to Doc. I was reaching out to him trying to figure out who the guy was, and we haven't been able to figure it out. But there's been 2 different websites in line, or Chargers on SI tweeted this out. It got put out there, Jeff. Detroit Lions were making a push to trade up to number 22. The Eagles were trying to get up to trade with the Chargers at 22. They didn't want to make the deal, and the Chargers almost pulled the trigger, and the Lions almost pulled the trigger to move up to the 22nd pick. And the report was they were Brad Holmes wanted to trade up for a particular edge rusher. And the next highest edge rusher on the board, Jeff Iafrate, you know who that was? James Pierce. And then the last minute, it said in the article, the last minute, the trade fell through. And then
who did they take? They took Amarion.
They took Amarion Hampton. They could have traded back and probably still got Amarion potentially at 28. And then obviously James Pierce, the Falcons trade up with the Rams, I believe, and they snag James Pierce, and the Lions don't get a chance at James Pierce at 28. But the Lions the report finally came out, and it was actually a couple different articles that got connected, but it came out that the Lions were making a push to get that 22nd overall pick. Now, there's no reports on who kind of was the team that dropped the ball, whether it was Brad that backed out or the Chargers front office that backed out, but just in the article, it said at the last minute, deal fell apart and they weren't able to get a deal done.
If I had to guess, it was probably, I mean, Brad, they came out. Remember he said in the post-draft thing where he tried to make a bunch of trades.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be shocked if they tried to move up.
I think in my opinion, the Chargers probably were wanting to move back. They just wanted to make sure they got Amarion, and they probably got to the last minute of the clock, and they were like trying to figure out if he was going to be available, and they were like, let's just take Amarion and be safe.
Was it for an edge?
That's what I was going to say.
Well, Brad.
What if it was Matthew Golden?
No.
He always jumps the Packers, bro. He always, and it might have not been Matthew Golden, but
in the article, it said
Derek Harmon would have won the pick before.
In the article, it said that reports were, and Brad mentioned that he was trying to trade up for an edge. So the article specifically, the article specifically mentioned the edge. Because I texted Easy, I said, the one thing that went through my head was, do you guys remember Brad saying he was nervous that Tyreek wasn't going to make it to 28? And I texted Easy, I said, are you sure it didn't say D-line? Like, was he trying to actually trade up and make sure they got Tyreek? But then he sent me the article and I read it, and it said edge in there. It specifically said that.
Well, was it maybe Derek Harmon? Like full slate, they wanted Derek Harmon, but he went the pick before, so it fell through. But they said edge, you're saying.
In the article, again, the article said edge.
Damn.
So they were going after someone.
Yeah.
And that was the only edge that was in between them.
It was James Pierce. If we're talking, if assuming it was an edge, then it's James Pierce, which makes me even.
That was even your dream.
It was, that. Now imagine that.
We thought Caleb and Hendon Hooker was bad, but I would have been A-okay with the James Pierce hype. Some of these narratives and hills you like to die on just really rub me the wrong way, especially when it's a Chicago Bear related type of topic with Ben Johnson and Caleb. But I can get behind the volunteer and James Pierce being in that Honolulu blue.
Yeah.
Baldy, hyping it up, manifesting it.
Yeah.
I could pull the article up too. Do you want me to pull the article up?
Would love to, Boone.
Yeah, that's interesting, man. I mean, Lions being aggressive does not surprise me. You know, if they ended with James Pierce, this it is, and I see Malik says it's shocked that even want Pierce with the maturity concerns. You know, and they didn't meet with him. I don't think, right? I don't think they met with him.
They probably did their due diligence, though.
Yeah,
I don't know if they did meet with him. So this is the article.
It's tough. Here, they'll pull it up.
If you want to pull it up, I'll read parts of it here. So it said the Los Angeles Chargers were definitely diligently working the phones during the NFL draft, and now yet another failed trade is surfacing for Jim Harbaugh's club. We already know that the Chargers were unable to complete a draft day trade with the Eagles, but they also may have been closing on a trade with another NFC contender that failed. See, it said it fell apart at the last minute. Here it says Jason Reed of Bolt Beat has concluded that the Chargers attempted to swing a deal with the Lions based on Brad stating that the team tried to move up to select an edge rusher in the first round. So that was a comment that Brad it came straight from Brad. It was one of the press conferences where Brad said we were looking to trade up for a specific edge. And then it said Reed even took things a step further, revealing the player who was probably the target in Lions trade discussions. It says in quotes here, there was one prominent name who was on the board when the Chargers were on the clock that can lead us to this conclusion: James Pierce. The Atlanta Falcons sent a haul to trade the number 26 pick to take Pierce, who was the next edge rusher taken after the Chargers pick.
I want to wait till you were done. I think, in my opinion, I think this is wizard hat a little bit. I think not that the report of him wanting to trade up. I actually believe that report. I think the report about it's trying to connect all these dots is a little wizard hatty, because I think Brad said that. I think he was talking about rounds 2, 3, like he was trying to trade up for an edge then,
which could be.
So I think that maybe either he was trying to trade. This is my opinion. Trade up for Derek Harmon, who was off the board, or B, trading up for Tylee, because Brad gets like that, where I think he's mentioned this before.
He did say that.
He's not going to be there. Yeah, that kind of thing. So I think those are probably two of the more likely scenarios. James Pierce probably just, you're trying to wizard hat connect dots.
I'll tell you what, my very first thought when I was talking to Easy about it was literally, I think that he was trying to move up for Tylee. Like that was because remember how concerned he was? Right. He said he was like, I was sitting in, he said in the 20s, late teens, in the early 20s, he said we were sitting there getting nervous because of all the runs on certain position groups. And then he had mentioned, he said he was like, I legit was like, my heart was beating, hoping Tylee fell to us. So then what that kind of puts it to my edge, where I texted Easy, I said, I feel like maybe that with those comments that Brad was making, how nervous they were to not get Tylee, that they started looking at trades to go up and get Tylee at 22. I wouldn't be surprised on that at all.
Yeah, because again, like Derek, it went Walter Nolan at 16, then Derek Harmon at 21. Tylee for multiple teams could have been that best option available, and especially, Minnesota was still sitting there. There's a lot of teams that could have. Baltimore loves taking defensive tackles. Anybody could have a defensive tackle at any time, especially when it's been an emphasis this offseason. Like, hey, let's start running the football again. See the Eagles being able to rush more.
Once that defensive tackle run hit in the draft, that was when Brad was like, this isn't good. Yeah. Tylee's the only defensive tackle on the board. There's no way he makes it to 28.
You would think, especially after that, because James Pierce went, 5 picks later, 4 picks later?
20
I feel like you would have heard more of Lions were trying to trade up for James Pierce. I feel like you would have heard more of that. And I feel
maybe they were just locked in on Tylee at the end of the day. Which kind of gives me more confidence.
Yeah. Brad moved up 20 picks for Jamison Williams. He moved up from 32 to 12. You don't think he'd be able to move up, 6 spots, 7 spots to go to 22? No, man. He would have got that deal done. But I guarantee Derek Harmon goes, probably shifted. Maybe they wanted Derek Harmon, like you guys' point, but I don't think it probably wasn't for James Pierce, because if you want to believe James Pierce, you would have got him.
I'm gonna believe my original theory that they wanted to go up and get Tylee at 22. That means that's Tylee's a dog and they love him.
I think that's more realistic.
I love it. I love him being aggressive. I don't mind it at all, man.
Well, I put the tweet out and I had said edge. So
Well,
listen,
I mean,
I typed what the article said.
Yeah.
That's hashtag journalism.
That's why you got to watch the show.
We didn't say it's for Ty Lee.
We give our thoughts on the articles. It's all right. Hey, let's get to our weekly segment of Crunch Time Trivia because
Boone,
our
okay,
host,
Boone, go grab your pen and paper.
Klotz.
It is time. Crunch time trivia. All right, guys. Could have got creative this week. Like, you know what? Could do conference finals trivia for the NBA. But I was like, I feel like 10 questions of that would be pretty grueling. So you know what? Take it light. Take it easy. Detroit Lions trivia. Okay, past, present, all mixed together. But it's going to be some tricky questions. Wanted just to keep the people a little refreshed. Drop topics. We can do a Tigers trivia. Tigers been rolling. We can do that next week. Finals will be coming up soon. Could do NBA finals. But this week, the fellas, you know, we talk about all this Detroit Lions football. We got to see how much of a historian they are. Now, we're not going back to Dick Knight, Train Lane. I honestly don't even think there's a Barry Sanders era question. This is going to be around all the times we were born. But did you actually pay attention? Were you truly a fan when you said you were a fan now? Back in 2015, were you actually watching the Lions? Or were you just saying that you were watching Lions? We're going to find out. We're going to find out, Jeff Boone. Detroit Lions trivia. Keeping it nice and easy. We'll get in more tricky stuff, more specific topics back next week. But you know what? Kept it easy this week. Detroit Lions trivia. Best of 10. Hefe, I do believe you have a 4-2 or is it 3-2 series lead?
I honestly can't really remember.
I believe it's 4-2.
It's 3-2.
3-2. Okay, I'll trust your word here, bro.
I think we're shading.
It's 3-2 because
I think I was up one last week. Remember, you had to tie the series, and then I won.
No, maybe.
Or did I take the lead? We
can
go
check the chat. Check the chat.
We can go 3-2. I don't really care. We can go 3-2.
I want to say it's 4-2. I want to say it's
That's
4-2.
fine. I'm gonna lose this. I'm gonna lose this one. I'm not good with Lions trivia before a specific time, so this is a complete disadvantage.
Hey, Boone, you're selling yourself short. We don't like to hear this. We might have to stop you off at -1.
I promise I might go 1 for 10. I'm not good with history.
I think you're overestimating Hefe here. I think that's your
you're
acting like
he has a good memory. I have a bad memory. I don't have a good memory.
Yeah, but something was telling me during these times, Hefe, you definitely had a gamer stage. I feel like this would be like Hefe's.
I was in college and in high school. I'm telling you,
busy.
I promise you, it's gonna be 5-2.
A lot of Counter-Strike.
See, this is Counter-Strike. Big.
I promise you, this is a Booner loss instantly.
Yeah.
Question number 1, boys. Question number 1. Chats are off, correct?
Oh yeah, chat is off.
All right. Question number 1. How many seasons did Matthew Stafford starting to go off? Think about it. Think about it, Boone. Think about it, Hefe. How many seasons did Matthew Stafford play with the Detroit Lions? A10, B8, C14, or D12?
All right.
Stat Padford. How long was that era in Detroit with the Lions?
Clue.
Connect time frames. Connect dots.
All right. I got it. I got my guess. Yo, this trivia music got
I feel like I'm in Tron.
All right, ready?
Great movie, by the way. All right. Answers in 3, 2, and 1.
D.
The answer is D. 12.
Yeah.
Jeff and Boone. And no, we can't.
Boone,
are we just gonna lay down? Are we just gonna lay down?
This isn't a Booner topic.
This is
Boone,
like
this is a Jeff
Miami
topic.
Heat in the first round.
No.
You're just laying down, giving up.
Boone, I'm gonna be honest. Just think about it. How old is Matthew? What year was he drafted?
I don't know how old the man is. I can't remember the exact year he was drafted. I told you I'm not a historian.
Not year. How old is he when he was drafted? Probably 21, 22. He's 36
I don't know how old
right
he is
now. 37, 36, 37. Like I don't know, whatever.
Question number 2, moving on. Who led the Lions in receiving yards during the 2016 regular season? 2016. So this is post Calvin Johnson. A, Kenny Galladay. B, Golden Tate. C, Marvin Jones. Or D, Eric Ebron.
Okay,
Let him in yards.
There's two. There's only two right answers here, Boone. You know this.
Shout out Marv, man.
You only have two of these.
Legend.
And I'm trying to think of who it was. Damn, man. I'm blanking. There's two I'm battling between.
Not yards. Yards. Sorry, yards. Not catches. Not yards per catch. Not touchdowns.
Yeah, I'm just gonna
Not
go.
tackles. We're talking yards here.
Oh, what was that? You just give it away a little bit.
I didn't say a damn thing.
It sounds like Klotzy's giving it away a little bit.
I don't know what he said that could have given it away. He said not tackles, yards. I got mine, dude. Can we do this?
Yeah, I'm just gonna go. I
gotta have a timer, the commish.
All right.
Yeah, let's go.
I'll install that, Boone. All right. Answers in 3, 2, and 1.
B.
The answer is B. Golden Tate. Marvin Jones was about 50 yards behind and then was able to dominate pretty much that category the rest of his time in Detroit. Marvin Jones, one of the most underrated Detroit Lions in history. People forget about him. People remember him in recent times for his last tenure. That dude was balling. And Kenny Galladay, shout out to him. Golden too.
Kenny Galladay.
Eric Ebron decided to go to Indianapolis and look like a fucking stud and actually know how to catch a ball. Anyway, moving on to question number 3. How many rushing touchdowns did the Detroit Lions have in 2024? Add them up. Add them up. How many rushing touchdowns total did the Lions have this season? Could be from a running back, quarterback, fullback, offensive lineman, tight end, wide receiver. How many rushing touchdowns for the Detroit Lions? Best backfield in the nation. In the nation.
This could be tricky because you have to count some other ones.
Yeah. Did Jared Goff run any in this year? I don't know.
All right, I'm just going to go with... All right, I got it.
This is an elite music pick you decided
I
to
got
install. It.
All
All right,
sounds
fellas.
like Wii Sports, doesn't it?
I mean, it sounds like Mario or something. Yeah.
Answers in 3, 2, and 1.
D.
Oh my gosh. Can we stop picking the same ones?
The answer is D, 29. 29 total touchdowns on the grounds for the Lions this year. 29.
Hey, we're perfect here. Maybe Boone was right. Maybe this is a Jeff week, huh? Come on.
I mean, you're up 4-2. It's your week every week.
No, well, this week I'm on a hot. Oh,
This one is going to be difficult.
2013.
Who led the Detroit Lions in rushing during the 2013
I lived
season?
in the gym in 2013. I never turned on the TV to watch any sport or
in there
show.
every Sunday because you know they were playing on Monday night.
I was in the gym Sundays, 8 a.m. practice.
David Best. B. Joik Bell. C. Kevin Smith. Or D. Michael Shifty Feet Quick Beat LaShore. Really wasn't fast at all. I don't know why I said any of that. Pretty slow, actually.
I'm not confident in this one. This is probably the hardest one so far.
I'm doing one because I have a nice story behind it.
Yeah, we're gonna pick the same one.
I don't know. I'm just. Go ahead. 3.
Answers in 3, 2, and 1.
B.
A. Javin Best.
The answer is
It's B.
T. Michael Quick Beat Shifty.
Wait, Joik did
726 staggering yards in 2013
No
was the leading rusher. Michael LaShore. Dwight Bell, that was very early on in his career. Javid Best had already retired, and Kevin Smith had like 200 yards. That
And
year.
Joik was what, 20? Like
He was young. He was that. This was before Joik was there. Because Joik was like
Tough.
in his heyday with Reggie.
We went
wasn't there
opposite, Jeff.
Yeah,
I went.
was like-
Javid was already out, and Joik barely was there yet.
Yeah.
So
that was.
I met Javid Best in the Menards. He was doing a signing at Menards, and we drove and went there. So
Shout out
that was why. That's why I picked Javid Best. Went to a Menards one time to see him. Good dude.
Shout out to him.
That was a hard question. Mike
Question number 5, fellas. What pick did the Detroit Lions take TJ Hawkinson with?
See, this is one I should know, and I don't know. I genuinely don't.
High. It was top 10, top 8 even.
I
in
didn't-
fact. Was it 8? Was it 7? Was it 6? Or was it 5 is what I'm asking you. TJ Hawkinson. Absolute reach. You never draft a tight end top 10.
Good.
Let alone have it
I
be
got it. I
Colson
gotta
Loveland.
guess.
At least TJ
Locked
Hawkinson
in.
can block. Colson Loveland can't even block and you're drafting him top 10. But that being said, TJ Hawkinson
All right.
went top 8 for a reason because he could block. Anyways, we got our answers.
Commish. We're good.
And 3, 2, and 1.
D.
Boone, what's yours say? I can't read.
C. Goes with 7.
The answer
C.
is
It's D.
C, 7th overall.
Oh, there you
7th
go, Boone.
overall. Boone and Hefe
I wasn't sure if it was
tied.
7 or 8.
Yeah,
Average
Jeff's
one.
clapping
I had
for
no
losing a
clue.
question. What is this? Soft.
Bum.
Question number 6. Tie game. Remember, if you guys both finish with 1 point each somehow, there will be a bonus question. And it's the
All
top
right.
5 and whoever can get the most out of top 5. Question number 6. Which Lions player had the most receiving touchdowns for the Lions over the last decade? So if you're confused on this question, over the last 10 years, post Kelvin Johnson, who has the most touchdowns during that year through the air? A, the Sun God, B, Marvin Jones, C, Kenny Galladay, or D, Golden Tate?
Tough
Most
question.
touchdowns. Most touchdowns.
All right, I got it.
I got it. We can call it.
Answers in 3, 2, and 1.
C.
The answer is B, Marvin
Oh,
Jones.
Marvin
And it's
Jones.
actually crazy. If you drop down from 10 to 9, Amon-Ra St. Brown is leading by a mile. So what Amon-Ra has been doing, I would say production-wise, you've only seen it
Dang.
once. Even with Herman Moore here, it's with Kelvin. So Amon-Ra's been cooking, but 10 years, again, people forget how good
Wow.
Marvin Jones is. Not saying you boys are, but this is just putting a little respect
I
on
did.
Marvin
I
Jones'
forgot.
name.
Forgot
36
too.
touchdowns. 36 touchdowns for him.
Jeez.
And that's not even his whole time, but just in that time frame over the last 10 years. All right, boys, question number 7. What round did Alex Anzalone get drafted in by the New Orleans Saints? Curveball. Anzo, the Gator boy, wasn't even drafted by
It's
the
for the
Lions.
win, right? Basically.
No, this is question number
No.
7, tie game.
We're tied.
Unless you think that you're
no,
just not
I thought we were
again.
closer to 10. My bad. I thought we were tied with like question 9.
No, that's why I said question number 7
Oh.
at the beginning of it.
All right. Yeah, never mind. I haven't my answer.
A, third.
Do you know it,
D4.
Jeff?
C,
I-
fifth.
I
D
have,
six.
it's gut. It's like, you know, when your gut tells you something, you just go with it. I'm just going with it. I don't.
All right, I got one. This is a guess. I'm in between
Alright,
two.
boy.
I'm just gonna roll with one.
Answers in 3, 2, and 1.
Hey.
That was what I was gonna put.
The answer
but-
is
See, it's,
A, third.
I was gonna put the
Oh,
third.
boom. That's a disaster, right?
I switched it last
Still
second. I
questions
was
left on the board. Still questions left on the board. Don't worry. Question number 8. How many wins did Matt Patricia have in his tenure with the Detroit Lions? Matty P, the Quintricia era. How many W's came in that span? A, 15, B, 10, C, 19, or D, 13? Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn. Magical run that we will never forget. Obviously not for good reason. I'll even give you both this clue. During that time frame, 29 losses, and 1 tie. That Pittsburgh Steelers game. 29 losses, 1 tie. How many wins?
I probably got the wrong. I'm in between two right now, and
Yeah,
It's
this
too-
one's kind of
it's too
tricky
close.
actually, because I remember, I remember a season. I know one record, but like you're kind of cloudy. It's like on the other ones. It's like, what's
Yeah.
the total come to? I don't know. I'm in between like 2 right now. I'm just gonna take a guess here, see what we can get.
you guys can see I crossed one off. If I end up crossing off the right answer, I'm gonna throw my computer across the room.
Boone's silent this whole time because he's actually mad, I feel like.
You said 29 losses
29 losses,
and 1 tie.
1 tie.
I'm doing something different. I'm going to try and get Klotz on his own. He's trying to get us. I'm going to try and get Klotz.
All right, let's see it. Answers in 3, 2, 1.
A, 15.
He's going to put the highest one in here.
D, 13, you weasel. You can't get
That's
me
what I crossed out.
Oh, boom.
That's what I crossed out.
Boone. It makes you feel better. I had 13 too, and I was like, no way. Klotz has the high number.
It's like the only thing. How many years was Patricia a coach?
I believe 4.
Bro, I was just saying. I was trying to think about the draft picks that they had each year, and I was like, I don't know if they had like top 3 every time. And if he was 4 years, I was like, you would have to. I couldn't remember the draft pick. I was going through it there.
Yeah.
What is this? 8 coming up on 8?
This is question number 9 now. Question number 9 we're coming up on.
That was
gotta make some shit shake, Boone.
Question
number 9. Which one of these teams did defensive coordinator Calvin Shepard not play on? He played on all of these teams except for one.
I know this one. I think
played on all of these teams except for one. Which team did he not play for? A, Lions, B, Ravens, C, Bills, or D, Dolphins?
I'm confident. I think I'm pretty confident in this one because we
Zero
talked
clue.
about it.
Talk about 2 of these teams all the time that he played for a reason.
This one, watch me get this wrong. I'm confident.
You thought you were gonna get me last time.
All right.
Answers in 3, 2, 1. Okay.
Ravens.
Yeah, that's what I put.
The answer
I
is
originally had the Bills.
B, Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens. He was signed by the Lions in 2018, was drafted by the Buffalo Bills, and then was
Played for the
signed
Dolphins.
at another time for the Dolphins. Yep. All right.
I originally I had the Bills, but then you said we talk about 2 teams all the time, and then I took the Bills off and switched to the Ravens.
Shared answers there. Shared answers. All right. Question 10. Boone has got to score it up here. Jeff has got to miss. Boone's got to score so we can go into some extra questions. If not, Hefe really extends this lead. We might have to shake up who does the questions, who does the answers, because I don't know if there'll ever be a closing here. Question number 10, fellas.
What was that?
Detroit Lions
that sentence didn't make any sense.
Of the 2025
that sentence made
NFL
0
season.
sense.
Well,
You're not gonna have a closing here. Like, what does that even mean?
12?
Who do the Detroit Lions play week 12 of the 2025 regular season? So this season, we're not talking about 2013 when Michael LaShore was leading the team in rushing. We're not talking about in 15 when Golden Tate was leading the team in receiving. This year, you think you know Lions ball? Answer this question correctly. A, Giants, B, Cowboys, C, Packers, or D,
All right,
Eagles?
I got it.
I need a minute. I need a minute.
Boone, this is a perfect question for you.
Yeah, I'm thinking right now. All right, I'm good.
Let's get it.
Answers locked in?
Yep.
All right, fellas. Answers in 3, 2, 1.
B.
New York Giants. A.
The answer
Giants.
is A, the New York Giants. Booner has tied it up. We are now
I
going
tweeted it
into
out.
extra questions.
I put it out as breaking news.
Hey, Boone.
I originally you crossed it. I originally was going to go the Cowboys, and then I said I need a minute. And when I needed a minute, I was trying to think about. I started going from week 18 backwards, and then just out of nowhere, it clicked in my head and went, "Booner, you tweeted out breaking news: the Detroit Lions are playing the New York Giants in week 12."
We
I didn't
swapped
think
it,
about
Boone.
that.
That was
Got an advantage there.
It was meant to be there.
All right, fellas. Extra question. We're sticking with the schedule here. The Lions have a bye, week 8. I want you to give me who they play from weeks 9 to 13 in order. Whoever can get the most correct slots wins. Weeks 9 through 13. Who did the Detroit Lions play in that order? Coming off the bye. And if you both have the same amount, well, fellas, we move into a different question. But weeks 9 through 13. Before the bye, they play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, if that helps.
I actually have no clue any other teams right now.
Weeks 9 through 13. Not weeks 8 to weeks 14. Not 9 to 12. 9 to 13.
All right, I got it.
We're going to do it one at a time instead of flipping. Jeff, you'll read your answers off. You'll show them, and then you'll read. Then Booner will go.
Hold on, I'm thinking still. I have 2 weeks left open.
All right. When you're ready, Boone. So here we go. This is the hey. This is what moments are made of right here.
Hold on, I'm trying to think. Week 13.
Week 13.
I'm drawing such a big blank
Now
right
week
now, boys.
14.
I got this.
You know it, Jeff? Like you're locked in?
I'm locked in. I don't want to say like it's in the bag, but I have a feeling. We're about to find out how right that is. I have a feeling.
He said this, I think, twice now, Booner. He's been over too, if that helps.
I'm sorry, I'm taking a lot of time. I can't think of a matchup right now.
A
You just gotta write a name down,
4-3 lead is a lot different from 5-2.
I know. I'm just
on here. We got a time.
No, we
limit on
don't. Not an OT. OT is OT, man.
Hey.
This is a lot of pressure. You're right. You're distracting me. I'm trying to think of teams they play real quick.
Complaints to you go to the Trivia Council because the Trivia Council reports to me. Unfortunately for you, I am the head and the chairman and the council. You report to me. If you have an issue, you report it here.
I would say we implement a timer at some point here, boys.
All right, we'll think about it for next game. We talked about it for this one. 5-2 leads different than 4-3.
All right, I got it.
You do have 10
I
seconds.
got it.
Though.
I just read a random one down, and I think I honestly I think I went 1 for, what is it, 5? I went 1 for 5.
So how do we do this? I'll read it
So,
off, and you tell us.
Hefe, you are going to
Hands up. You can read yours off.
You're gonna show your schedule on the screen, what you think it's gonna be.
Can I read
And
it? Because my handwriting's really
All right,
bad.
You
go
gotta
ahead.
show. Yeah. Fair.
Read it
All right.
and then show.
So I have you said week 9, right?
9 to
So we
13.
start-
Week 9,
So
yeah.
week 9, I have the Vikings.
Okay.
Week 10, I have the Commanders. Week 11, Eagles. Week 12, Giants. Week 13, Packers.
All right.
Oh, I'm so
Boom.
far out. He won. I know he got multiple right.
Boom,
I
go
had
ahead.
week 9. I had week 9 the Commanders. Week 10 the Eagles. Week 11 the Packers. Week 12 the Giants. And week 13, I don't know why I put the Rams. They're not at 13.
Oh,
Jeff
shit,
didn't
I got
miss.
4
Jeff
or 5,
didn't
baby.
miss. Jeff didn't miss.
Woo,
He got all of them.
He got all of them.
Oh, boy.
I had 4 of the teams right. I had 4 of the 5 teams right. I just couldn't remember where to place them.
I got 5 for $5.
Yeah, we gotta do.
Foot long. Come on,
We
boy.
can't have this. We got to do something with the trivia. So you might just for once have to come up. You can pick the topic. You do whatever.
Oh,
You might have to be
yeah.
the host. We can't allow this.
Oh,
What?
I feel like Hendon Hooker just got announced that he's been the
I got
I
starter.
don't know.
Five
Well, we
with
can
a
talk about
soda.
it. We could talk about it at a different time.
Woo! 5 for 5 with a soda. Leave the sauce. Come
Oh
on,
my
man.
God.
Come on, boy.
This guy got it dead on.
His
Dude,
life's peaking
That's
right
like
now.
the bang. No,
That's unbelievable, dude.
bang from down.
I had 4 of the
Shout out
5
to Hefe.
teams. I just had him in the wrong spot.
Wow.
Yeah, I was kind of amazed when Hefe went 5 for 5 there.
That's tough.
That's
All right, it's 10 o'clock.
You got to tip the hat. That's wow. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't win a lot of things here, but that
meant something to you.
that meant something to me.
means something to me, man.
Oh wow. I didn't really display good sportsmanship there, Boone.
No,
not
it's
at
all right.
all.
We were in OT. We've gone and we've had 6 or 7 matchups and like 4 of them have gone into OT. So I'm really, the good thing about this is I love my team, and we have a very good organization built up. We just can't seem to finish, and we can't get over the hump. So we have to assess and go to the front office. We have to make a few moves, and as an organization, we have to find a way to get over the hump.
I'm sorry, the speech that shit killed me. It's like
Jeff
the
is so
line.
happy right now.
Oh,
This is
that's
unbelievable.
funny.
I don't think Jeff's ever been so happy in his
That's
life.
funny though. Speech in the locker room. Oh,
Etienne said you cheated on 2 of them. He said he was watching you.
no, I did not cheat.
He said I was watching.
No, I did not. That
Jeff
one.
got the poster of the schedule in his
That
room.
one is speech.
Do you have
What's up?
Do you have the games written down in the notebook that you write it down on? No, I'm saying, do you have the schedule at some point in your notebook?
No, I don't.
With the winners, losers.
I write down the entire schedule.
That's your notebook that you take notes in for the show.
Yeah,
Look,
you
I
wanna
had
line out that
Cowboys. I had
handwriting.
Cowboys, and I scratched it and put Packers.
Etienne's saying, wait a minute. Etienne's saying I'm cheating. Etienne, how can I cheat on 2 of them if I got 5 out of the 6 wrong? 4 out of the 6 wrong. Oh, I was about to say. Yeah, man. Listen, when you lose, it's just like Dan Campbell after losing the Commanders game. He's a little bit okay, here we go. Like, yeah. You know what I mean? Respect to the winner.
This is for you.
Respect to the winner. I give respect where it is. Good game, Jeff.
Hey, good game. That speech.
Hey,
whoever said
we're breaking breads here.
that speech thing was fucking hilarious. All right, we'll get out of here. Appreciate you all. We'll be back tomorrow. Doc's joining. So 8:45, be there. It'll be great. Can't wait to catch up with the Doc, man. Appreciate Jeremy. Appreciate you all. We'll see you tomorrow.
Peace. Love you guys.